Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you some examples about the loops. Other students get confused about the idea of loops, so that's the reason we're recording this video. Okay, I'll give you the tutorial, and at the same time I'm going to use this window to type the code and show you the process here. So if you're confused about loops, and this video is the one right for you to solve your problem. Okay, so before that, before we have loops, we are assuming you understand the C components well. Like at least you should have a main function as shown here as the CEO of your company, and you should know how to include side contracts, stdio, as we have shown here in this example. And at the same time, you should understand how to print out things like using printf, and you should understand how to use the integers, how to declare them, and especially you should understand the increment and decremental operators like I++, and so on and so forth. And today we're going to use it. I can explain more when we're getting there. So loop is just a repeating machine. Usually when you type a code, for example, you print out something, just one line of code to be executed once by the machine. So you write a code like here, you print out something, it will be executed once. However, the loop is going to help you to repeat that elementary actions. So for example here, how can we print 100 stars like what we're showing here? Yes, of course, you can do something like this. You can print if, let's see, you can do something like, let me just type them here, print if, and if you're going to print out 100 stars, you can do this, put 100 stars by yourself. This is the simplest thing to do, and you're going to have this code. So let's execute it. So this is what you're going to have, even we don't have 100 stars there. However, what if we have something like 1,000 of them, 1,000 stars there? Are you going to type all the stars by yourself, or what if there's even more, like there are 10,000 or 100,000 of them? Are you going to do this by yourself? It's almost impossible, right? So for loop, the loops is a repeating machines which can help us do that. We don't have to repeat that, for example, 100 times. We just have to write a code, very elementary code, for example, to output only one star, like what I'm showing here. If I'm running this code, it's going to be one star there, like you have seen here, right? So however, if we have loops, it will help us to output 100 of them. For example, I'm here declaring I as a counter, and I'm using the while loop. As long as the counter less than 100, then I can move this very elementary action inside the body of that loop, for example, and putting it here. So the code will be something like this. You will see that while loop will output that 100 stars for us. Let me run the code. So this is what we're going to have. Sorry, I guess I actually got something wrong. Wait, I forgot to put because I are not increased at body of the loop. Every time when I print out of them, I should increase I by here by 1. I could actually use something like I++ there to do the same thing. However, to be straightforward, to easier to understand, I'm putting I equal to I plus 1. As you have seen here, if I is not increased, that means I always been 0 there. So this while condition holds all the time. This will be repeated forever, like what we have seen previously. Right now, let me run the code again. So that's what we're going to have. The 100, you see 100 stars in the same row there. So what's happening here is I can actually add one breakpoint and use this debugging model. To use a debug model, I have to rebuild it. Then I run here. So what's happening here is in debugging model, when the code runs to the breakpoint, it will stop there, hold down there, and waiting for your action. For example, move to next line. That means this line of code will be executed. As you have seen here, there's a star printed out already from there. And let's repeat that action because I currently has been increased to 1 right now. You can see here it's 1 already. So I still less than 100. So we are getting here, and so it will be executed again. In this case, you have seen 2 stars from there. And then we move to the next line. You will see I has been increased by 1. So right now it's 2. And it's still less than 100. And let me move that. And if we keep doing this, you will see it will be repeating the actions inside the body statement of the while. That means the elementary actions for a while. And screen keep outputting the stars from there. Let's do it. You will see. Okay, you will see during the process the I are increasing 1 every time. So until it reaches the end. Let me set a breakpoint, see if we can stop. Actually, we don't have any code here. It shouldn't stop, but let's try it. See if possible. Let's use continue. Oh, it stopped. So right now you see 100 stars in a line from there. The program stopped at here, and let's check out the value of I. Right now it's equals to 100. That means this condition doesn't hold anymore, so it's quit from the body loop, so giving us that result. Let's continue. So the result, the program has been executed already. We already see the result of 100 lines there. So this is the while loop, which will help us to repeat this basic action for 100 times. So in that case, we only write 1 line of code, how it has been executed, repeated for 100 times. So that's the power of repeating. So in this case, we're using the while loop. Okay. Let's move on. You will see what's happening here is we have introduced in the lecture, and also I have already shown it again here. Every time there is a test there, like what we're showing here, the test is if I less than 100. If you passed that test, the body here statements for doing something, the body statements a while will be executed, and after that it will go back to check the test results. If passed again, this part repeat again, and go on and on to repeat that basic elements inside this body statement. That's what we have shown here. However, for every loop, most of the time we should have a stopping condition that to make the test doesn't hold. Here, what we're doing is updating the I in every loop by increase I by 1. So that's control the loop to be executed 1,000 of times. 100 of times. Okay, let's move on. And we can actually write equivalent using a for loop, as I have shown here. We can actually let me do that. Let me comment out that while loop and write an equivalent I loop there. You will see it's basically the same. The basic element is to print 1 star, but I can write it in a more compact way, like this is corresponding to a while loop here, and what makes a difference is I can initialize it here, and I can put the test condition here. It's equivalent to here, and I could keep the updating part to here. As I mentioned earlier, you can use I++ to do the same thing as I equals to I plus 1. So let's go see the results. It's the same actually, you have seen. So if you set the breakpoint here, it's going to give you exactly the same result. You see, at the left screen, you'll see the stars keep outputted from to the screen. Okay. Let's remove the breakpoint and to continue, and the program has been fully executed. So these two are equivalent, as we have introduced early. This is what happening for the for loop. The initialization is here, test here, updating is here. Every time the initialization will be executed once when you entered the for loop the first time. So the test will be checked and the body will be executed, and then after that it goes to the updating session and go back to check again, execute it again, and doing this on and on until the condition in the test doesn't hold. It will quit from there. For example, here we're doing the same. When I increased to 100, the test will fail and we quit from the loop of 4. Okay. As mentioned, this is the example we have introduced in the mile converter. They are equivalent to each other. Only difference is that 4 can be written in a more compact way than a while. Okay, let's go on. This is just one example. We're printing the stars. That's easy to understand. But how about we want to print out numbers, one number each line, as shown here at the left. This is what we are expected. I'm going to, in the following slides, I'm going to put what we are expected here. So how can we do that with the while or the for loop? This is a code to do it. So we can actually modify the program we had previously, for example, and right now we need the code to be repeated for 1,000 of times. So I'm changing the condition here to 1000 from 100 to 1000, and for the basic operation, it's to output a number. In that case, I'm going to use this format tag %d to output a number. Right now you could see that I can output that number as 1 plus 1, because at the beginning I equal to 0, then 0 plus 1 will be 1. That will give you the first number. However, what we need in addition is we need one number each line or each row. So in that case, I'm putting this tag of telling the computer to start the new line every time after you printing out that number. So we change the basic elementary action here like this. Let me set a breakpoint here to see what's going to happen. I rebuild that program and executed that. You see it here. It stopped here. Then right now I equals to 0. It's less than 1000 for sure. So let me move to next line. That means this line will be executed, and you see a 1 here because I equals to 0 when the printf was called. So I plus 1 will be 1. 0 plus 1 will be 1. So that's give us the first line. And right now let's move to the next line. That means the updating will be executed. Right now I equals to 1. The condition still holds there, and so we are going into this body loop. Let me execute it. That you see a 2 here, and let's do this. I updated to 2, and the condition still holds here. The condition still holds. Then let me execute it. That's elementary action. So right now you will see it's 3. When we keep doing it, you see, pay attention to what's on the left screen. Let's keep outputting the number line by line. So, and at the same time, the value of I and are increased there. So this will be repeated until I equals to 1000. Okay. So this is what's happening here. Let me just stop the execution. If you run out all of them, you are going to see this result. Okay. Okay, so this is what's happening. If we are going to output 1000 number and 1 number at each line, so that's it. You can actually use a while loop to do the same thing. In that case, you are going to change the loop to here. Let me just comment out. This is easy to do, so I'm going to do it here. Let's open that comment for a while. So right now, for a while loop, you have to change it to 1000, and you have to change this to %d and give it to start a new line. Exactly the same as when we are using a for loop. So let's do it. So this is what you're going to see. Everything goes well. The same result as you're using a for loop. Okay, this is second example. Let's move on. This time, we're going to print out a triangle with stars. By observing, this is result we want. There is 5 rows of stars, and each row there are different numbers of stars, like 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star, and 5 star, and 6 stars there. Okay, we can vary in the number there. I'm sorry, I'm putting a wrong result here. So we should stop here if it's 5 lines. Sorry, that's my fault. However, we're going to do that with that for loop to help you to understand that more. So I'm going to use intermediate step using for loop. Let's change back this for loop to here. So we're still going to use that for loop. However, we need action to be repeat only 5 times. In that case, we're printing out stars, not a number. So the basic elements could be something like just 1 star, right? If we are going to print just 1 star, that's very easy. We can add start new line tag here. So this is going to have an intermediate result. You have seen here 5 lines, 5 rows, and 1 star at each row. So this is very similar to the previous printing out the numbers example. The difference is there we only repeat 5 times, and we are printing out 1 star each line rather than the numbers. So in that case, we are changing the condition, stopping condition here, and also we're changing the basic element here. So this intermediate result is going to give something, give us something like that, intermediate. Okay, right now, you can do that with the while loop as well. However, right now we can take a step further, because right now we're print out the star directly. This is okay if in every row we have same number of stars. However, what we want is at the left we need at each row we have different number. So let's try that. Use this. By modify this, we can use another for loop. In that case, I'm going to give initialize a declare j start from 0, and j is going to this for loop for j is going to be repeated for 2 times, twice. So let's just let me put the j loop, that means the inner loop, in charge of printing out stars at each line. And let's modify this, and in this case the outer loop for the I loop were in charge of printing out of the start new line tag. So in that case, every time we're inside the for loop, and this loop will be this j loop will be the elementary action of the for loop, the outer loop. So this is going to be repeated. This inner loop of j for j loop is going to be repeated 5 times, because everything you put here are the elementary action for the for loop is going to be repeated for 5 times. Okay, when we're in the inner loop, the for loop, because we are setting j less than 2 as the condition, so this for loop will be executed twice every time. In that case, it's going to give us 2 stars at each line. Let me set a break point here to see what's going to happen. Okay, executed the code. Right now we're in the I loop, I equals to 0. We reach the for loop. Then let's get to the new line. Right now we're inside the j loop, j equals to 0, it's less than 2. Let me do it. So you will see 1 star has been printed out on the screen on the left. Okay, j loop right now, the j equals to 1, so the still condition still holds. So we're going to print out the second line as you have seen here. But after that, you will say j right now equals to 2. Then we are reaching, we have quitted from the for loop for j. So right now we are reaching here to print out a new line. So we are back into the checking condition of 4 there. Right now 4 equals to 0, but after the updating of I++, I right now equals to 1, the condition still holds. We're in the inner loop for j, but right now when it reaches here, j will be initialized again as 0, so it's going to less than 2. Previously j has reached 2. However, when it enters the for loop for I for the second time, this will be executed again, so it will be set back to 0. Then this line will be executed as previously in previous loop. So we're going to have 2 stars there, then j will reach to 2 again. This condition, well, doesn't hold anymore. We're going to quit from this loop, and we're reaching the outer loop for I of this line. So after that being executed, you will see there are 2 lines of 2 stars there. Okay, let's repeat this again and again. Every time it's just repeat twice in the inner loop, and then it's quit from the inner loop to the outer loop of I, and reach here to print a new line. You will see it's repeated. It's going to be repeated 5 times. Then it's quit the outer loop for I, because right now j has been increased to 5. It should quit the outer loop. And right now we'll have 5 lines of stars. Each of the line have 2 stars there. Okay, so this is an intermediate step to fulfill our goal of printing out something like that. Okay, so this is what happened. This page actually explained what happened for the code there. So that's the reason we're having the intermediate result like that. Okay, and here again, let's take a step further, because we need at each line we need different numbers of stars there. However, in previous example, there are 2 stars. It's a fixed number. But by observing the results we need, the number of stars at each row actually equals to the row number. That means 1 star for the first number, 2 stars for the second number. So in our case here, the row 0, and there are 1 star, because we start the for loop start at 0. But this is an implicit way. It's not that straightforward to understand. To help you to understand, we can change them to explicit way, like we're setting an initial value of I and j to 1, and the condition to I less than 5. So this is going to give us the similar results as we had previously, as you have seen here, because we are changing the initial value of I and the stopping condition to we allow the I equals to 5, so it's going to be repeated 5 times. Okay, it's the same result. However, by changing that, you will see right now when we first time into the for loop here, and the I equals to 1, that's exactly the number of stars we want. And when we enter the for loop the second time, the I equals to 2, that's also exactly the number we want here, 2 stars. and it's repeating again third time the I equals to 3. It's exactly the number of stars we want. Okay, in that case, we can change this condition to I. You see the difference here? So in that case, every time the stopping condition of the J loop is updating, because the maximum number the J could have is equals to I. It's a line number, a raw number, and also the number of stars we want. In this case, we could have at each line a different number of stars, like this, what you have seen here, the results. Let's say the breakpoint to do that. Okay, rebuild that and run that. And the first time you will see here it's just 1 star, and the second time we're into it, the I right now equals to 2, so J equals to after executing of this line, J equals to 1, be reset back to 1 again. So because I right now equals to 2, that means this loop will be, inner loop will execute it twice, 2 times for outputting 2 stars. So right now it's quit from there, and go back to check the outer loop condition, and after updating I right now equals to 3, that means the condition in the inner loop here will be J less than 3. Let's update J, it set back to 1, so this is going to be executed 3 times for output 3 stars there, and you will see there. Okay, if we keep doing this, and because I is increasing, so the stopping condition for the inner loop is changing dynamically. This time the inner loop will be executed 5 times to output the 5 stars there. So at the end it's going to, because we already repeated that for 5 times, so we have 5 lines already. Okay, it's going to give us the results we want. So here is it. Right now you will see the expected is equals to the intermediate, the triangle we had. Okay, so this is another example which we are printing out the triangles. Okay, these are all about printing out the stars and or numbers. How about we have to do some calculation? We can use a loop to do that as well. For example, what if we want to find the sum of all out numbers in the range 1 to 1000? So in that case, we're adding them together like this. How we can use that loop? Use loop to solve that problem. We can actually set initial number to the first odd number 1, and every time we can add 2 to it to generate the next number we want. And every time we have generated a new number, we can add it back to the sum, because the sum equals to 0. And you can pause the video and think about it. So the loop, in each of loop we're adding where the sum new number to the sum, so the sum at the end will give us the result of this. It's going to be repeated again and again. This is a program to do it, and this time I would like you to do it by yourself, and and with the understanding of previous examples, I think it's will be much easier for you. For example, right now we're repeating 500 times, because every time we are adding 2 to reach the number of 1000. After adding 100 times, you're going to have the result you want to reach the maximum number of 1000. I mean, okay. And the body condition is we are sum them together, and there we are also increase the counter and we print out each of the number here, okay, as you have seen here. This is the result you are going to have with that program. You will see in each loop we are generating a new odd number, and then at the end you have the summation, summarization at the end. It's that number. Okay, that's all of our tutorial today. I hope this will help you to understand it more. Bye.